Welcome, everybody, to the DynastyWise Fantasy Football Podcast. Please check us out at DynastyWise.com. We are the team that's always working for yours. Chad's not here to go .com, but, that's all right. Today, joining me will be Pat.
Let's get in it.
And the great, I'm sorry, I cut off your team.
That's okay. It's trademarked.
Yeah. And the only man that wears sunshades to do podcasts, that's right, you love him, it's Joe.
At DynastyWise_Joe, all ready. I'm here to get everybody else ready.
And, of course, from the Amish paradise, we have Clay.
How's it going, everyone, at DynastyWise, Clay?
All right, we specialize in Dynasty fantasy football, but we also, I'm sorry, Joe's got the giggles over there, so we're just waiting. Oh, was it? Yeah. Are you serious? Well, I think it recorded you. I don't know. But
that's awesome.
All right, in any case, we do specialize in Dynasty-style fantasy football. But we also specialize in fantasy football. We just like talking football in general. Again, join us at DynastyWise.com. Check out the site. Leave us comments, even if it's bad. We'll block you. I mean, I'm just kidding. But hey, we love to have you.
We'll pull up.
We love football. You love football. We're guys like you. That's our... we do this for fun. We hope you enjoy it. But today, despite saying all that, today we are going to focus in on the Houston Texans and their free agent moves that they have made this offseason. And I think the first guy to start off with is obviously going to be the Honey Badger. Pat, what's your take on the Honey Badger?
Well, obviously the Texans need help on defense. There's potential that the Honey Badger can be the answer, but I'm not sold on him. He hasn't completed I guess technically he did have 16 games last year, and it was one of his lower producing years from an IDP standpoint. But I got to give credit where credit's due. The guy is on the ball. He's in almost every single tackle that happens on the field. I've seen the deep passes, and he's somewhere in there, even as a linebacker. But I'm not completely sold on him. I'm not sure if there could have been a better trade, but he's available, and they were able to get him on a budget, so I can't complain on the Texans for that.
That's right. Joe, comment?
Honestly, I think the dude's a playmaker. He definitely a ball hawk, but he's not afraid to go and push press coverage on a wide receiver or fill a gap like a linebacker. He's out there to do work, but also with that versatility right there that shows. I guarantee you Romeo Crennel probably went from 6 to midnight and stayed up all night experimenting with different defensive packages as well as sneaky blitz packages with the new signing of Aaron Colvin. But that's another matter. But with Honey Badger, I think we should move K-Jack to a safety because he's not a outside corner and he's not a slot corner.
Yeah, I agree. What about Andre Hall?
Oh, I love him at safety. Keep him doing what he does, but
you can have Jackson also as a Kareem
Honey
Jackson.
Badger mixing up
right
between nickel and safety and doing different things, maybe blitzing, who knows.
Well, I think a key that you said was he's not afraid of anything. Mm-hmm. The guy will come up and he will put the hurt on a running back, on a sweep or something. But Clayton, let's go to your take.
One of the best things he said was he's never played with the talent we have in our front seven. He goes with J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney and Mercedes. I just got to stand in the back and do what I do and make plays, which is exactly true. The Texans have been missing that playmaking safety, that ball hawk, and I think, he's only 25. Let 1 year, let's see what he's got. I think he's gonna do great. With the way our secondary played, we can only really go up from here. Honey Badger, Badger Honey, whoever it is, it's an upgrade.
And that's the only thing that scares me, or I guess, one of the major concerns I have with the Honey Badger is his versatility. It's great having that, but I think we run into the J.J. Watt scenario where he works out too hard, he puts too much effort in that versatility, he ends up dogging himself out, and I think that leads to injuries, because he's not getting the rest that he needs, and granted he's 25, so he does have the recovery ability, but that's what honestly is my main holdup with him is the versatility of him and being exposed to those extra tackles he may not necessarily need to be in on and diving into a play. I love it. The aggressiveness gets him, but I can't bash him. Just like with J.J. Watt last year, what I said last year with him is I love the way he plays the game, but I'm not sure he's all there just yet.
Honestly, I love where he's at mentally. He said Houston's the place to be right now with the other teams, the Astros, Houston. I mean, with Rockets doing their thing. Right now, he took a pay cut to come here, signed for $7. He was offered like 21 mils to go elsewhere. He decided to come here.
For
Not only
Deshaun
that, but
Watson.
you kept throwing J.J. Watt's name out. That's perfect. He's already been through 2 injuries similar to Deshaun Watson's injury right now, and he's already had it twice. So he could probably help him mentally get back on it.
I mean, that's a possibility. I'm like I said, I'd love for the guy to prove me wrong.
I definitely agree with Pat. I am worried about if he stays healthy, he's great.
Absolutely.
I had a guy write into us, and he was saying, if y'all are going to talk the Texans, remember Ed Reed. This is no disrespect to Ed Reed. Ronnie Lott says Ed Reed's the greatest safety. Who's to argue with Ronnie Lott saying that? But we got Ed. All right, well, Clayton raised his hand. He's going to argue with Ronnie Lott. Ed Reed was past his prime. He should have retired.
He needed the surgery.
He was injured.
Yeah.
So, when this guy, wrote in, when he heard we were going to do this podcast, there's quite a big difference between Ed Reed then and Tyrann Mathieu now.
Yeah, I mean Ed Reed. They were coming off the Super Bowl win. He needed the surgery, but he still passed the physical.
Right.
So you can't. I mean, as much as we would love to be able to bash the Houston Texans for that, I mean, he did pass the physical, and he went through all the proper.
Or maybe they just said he passed just to appease fans.
Yeah, that could be too. I mean, because Ed Reed was a name, but Honey Badger's a name. There's no line. I mean, but also he's 25 and he's kind of hitting the peak right now. And if we caught him just right, and that was a 3-year deal we signed.
1 year.
Oh, it was 1 year. Okay. Well, I mean, then give him a chance to prove himself.
Exactly.
Then you're gonna have to pay him.
Yeah, we're not.
Next year, and that's okay if he comes out.
Take a chance, and it doesn't hurt our future cap. If it doesn't pan out this year, we don't have to sign him, you know what I mean? And we're not on the hook for another 7, 10, 15 million next year, whatever it might be.
But they signed D-Hop, right?
Yeah, D-Hop got pizzed.
Yeah, and I mean D-Hop's going to eat up a lot of the money, but the fact that he's been Honey Badger's been in the league since 2013, and he first completed season was last year. That is a concern of mine because you want to be able to bet. I mean, that versatility is worthless if you got a guy out that's out for 4 or 5 games, and that's like we'll go back to the caveat. If he stays healthy, we might have ourselves a ball player.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on to Aaron Colvin, who we signed from Jacksonville. The question, of course, is why didn't Texans just keep A.J. Bouye? But I'm going to leave it up to the experts, and we'll go to Joe on Aaron Colvin.
Honestly, I think everybody's sleeping on him, even the Jags. Maybe they had to get rid of money or something, and they figured that he'd be too much with what they got.
Well, I mean, they already paying.
Young squad.
They're Bouye and Ramsey getting paid.
Yeah.
Or Ramsey's coming up. I think he's still under rookie deal. So
Don't sleep on that boy because since 2014 he's been killing the league and been ranked first in coverage per snaps and allowing touchdowns. He's had 728 snaps compared to both Trumaine Johnson and Chris Harris Jr. combined.
That's amazing. And see, here's the key. People are going to argue that, he was covering the slot. He's covering the third receiver. But those stats, what the hell? But those stats clearly show that this is since 2014. So that's great stats that you researched there, Joe. Clayton?
Yeah, Colvin. Obviously, Houston, we love Bouye. We don't get why you let him, but he's from there. I think that's the main reason why he wanted to go home, whether there's money or what. The thing about Colvin, 2016 he only had 10 games, which is kind of low, and that's concerning. But you go look at 16 and 17, he played. 15 and 17, he played the full season. Great pass defense, and 15, the full season, the whole 73 tackles and 7 pass defense. He's probably starting in Jacksonville. So those are pretty good stats. I think we're getting a nice young corner. And what I like when players – so he played in Jacksonville, and then you have his league mate or teammates come out and talk about how good he is. And I think, most NFL players are pretty good at they evaluate each other, so
especially at their own position.
So, I think, at 26 and just like I said with the Honey Badger, the way our secondary played, we can only go up. You know, I love Kevin Johnson. He can't stay healthy. Kareem, who the hell? Jonathan Joseph. Hell, I think I can get open against Jonathan Joseph. He's so old.
Well, and to add to that, I mean, he was part of last year's defense that they allowed 169 yards on average per game of passing. I mean, that's in a league where most quarterbacks average, 300-plus yards. I mean, they're not allowing anything. He was a part of that secondary that stopped that. Now, I feel like you plug him in and J.J. Watt stays healthy, Clowney's good. We have plenty of tools on the Texans defense, that are able to jam it up. And if they've got the secondary that can hold down those corners, I mean, we're going to see a lot more sacks, a lot more tackles for loss, stuffs. A lot of our stats are going to go up to where we could very well move. And it's amazing that one little part, and I'll even throw Honey Badger in there. If he stays healthy and he's a part of it, man, this defense could very well be downright nasty next year. I mean, especially if when you bring in Colvin like that.
I think one thing that we're talking about our signings, but to make all this stuff go, I think it's nothing against Mike Vrabel, but he was not doing what he needed to be at defensive coordinator. It's us getting Romeo Crennel back as the D coordinator. I think you're going to see our defense back at the 2015, where we're number one in the league, and you do what we do.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk about a special teamer that the Texans signed. I know, Joe, you've gotten a lot of insight on Johnson Bademosi, I believe. Any details into him?
Honestly, the kid is fast, and he gets down the field and makes plays. He reminds me of C.J. Deuce, but better at tackling.
A little bit bigger, not 5'2".
Yeah. And honestly, another thing with that, I think we should get C.J. Deuce back and maybe sign him on a cheap one-year deal for special teams only. Have Bademosi and C.J. Deuce on the opposite sides of the field. They'd both be down there. It'd be a race to see who could get there first.
Put Coates as a gunner with Bademosi.
Right. Because we need it. I mean, that's the one thing that, I'm going to call him Bob, but Bill O'Brien came out and said, that it's, we need help on our special teams. Now, that defense is great to have, and your special teams is a great opportunity for your defense to really, capitalize on, to really give that 1-2 punch. And I think, having someone with the speed and the wheels to be able to do that, we need the help in the blocking, to, jam up some of those gunners and all that. But all in all, I think that's a sneaky pick. And, I mean, like Joe said earlier, just like with him, don't sleep on him.
Well, you can't coach speed.
You can't.
That's all there is to it. You can't coach.
Well, the Olympic trainers would argue, but
all right, you put a parachute behind him, drag it or a tire. I don't know, but all right, guys. Let's move on to the offensive side, and I want to touch on wide receiver Sammie Coates. Came out of Auburn, showed a lot of promise in college. Clayton, what do you got on him?
I really like Sammie Coates. I liked him coming out. I watched him at Auburn a little bit. Not an Auburn fan, just watching college football, and he was producing.
No War Eagle for you.
Right. And whenever they're bringing out your receivers, I thought he would have had more. Obviously, I'm not the NFL draft expert, but I thought he would have had more run and being a top receiver based on what I saw him produce. He didn't have an all-pro or the best quarterbacks, he had in Auburn, but then his speed, he caught everything.
Pat?
That's one of those things, and doing over at Pittsburgh, he didn't. He had one okay season. I think it was 2016 from a fantasy standpoint. It was like 56, 57 points, something like that. But I feel like there's so much more potential there. Plug him into the right system where he can be utilized. The guy, he's got the skill set. He did it in Auburn with not a whole lot of help. I just think there's a lot of potential there, and this very well could be. I know we talked about Will Fuller, and Will Fuller getting hurt or the lack of hands and all that. But I think Sammie Coates may be the answer to that.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, you got anything?
I agree completely. I think it's huge potential upside with him, especially with exactly what you said on Will Fuller. Will Baby Midget Hands Fuller.
Baby Midget Hands!
In 2016, he played 14 games with 2 touchdowns. In 2017, last year, he played 10 games, but he had 7 touchdowns. But the biggest thing of that is it was because of DW4. So again, with that, a healthy DW4 and a brittle Fuller, potential career numbers looking Sammie Coates' way this year.
Yeah, I agree. Sammie Coates, big guy, good speed. And with the NFL, a lot of times to be successful in the NFL, you have to be on the right team that that not only can coach you up if you're willing to be coached, but also showcase your talents. So who's to say the Texans can't showcase Sammie Coates' talents. If anything, I like it creates more and more competition at the wide receiver position.
Competition breeds, makes everybody better. We all agree on that. And we don't have a solidified 2 or 3 receiver. We have D-Hop, and we know who plays behind him. We don't. But who you going to put at number 2? And and in the NFL, you run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets.
My question is Braxton Miller. I know we've kind of gone back and forth with him on certain things and all that. But is this a make or break year for Braxton Miller?
I think year 3 is the year you really find out on a receiver. I would normally go year 2 coming out of college if it takes a little while. I'd give him year 3. I wouldn't probably push year 4, but I think we'd have him year 4 just because he just made the position switch, and it's a lot more for him to do from quarterback. So.
Well, why did Braxton Miller goes back to quarterback and backs up Deshaun Watson?
We could run the play that Tom Brady failed to do.
Yeah, that's true.
But with DW4.
And friend, we might have to if we can't keep Watson healthy.
DW4 to Braxton to DW4.
Yeah. Want to make the Wildcats. All right, let's move on. If you've been a Texans fan for as long as I have, ever since
2002.
Ever since David Carr got drafted, we failed to produce an offensive line. During Schaub years, we had a decent offensive line, but let's face it, Deshaun Watson is kind of built like RG3, and I don't know if he can survive the NFL hits. Maybe he can. Who knows? I'm not saying he can't, but
we don't want to find that out.
Will the Texans ever get offensive line? They fell big time in not signing Scott Norwell, the best guard and the number 1 rated guard as far as passing blocking goes. He goes to rival the Jaguars, but the Texans made some move. Obviously, let's start off with Seantrel Henderson. I think he's there for depth. Anyone got anything on him?
I think the same. I think just based on potential and where he could be and, this and that, I think that they're just seeing if he can pan out or if they can coach him to his potential.
Yeah, he's young enough still to where I think you can, if he is coachable, will he be a starter in the next 2 or 3 years? Could be, but I think it is more for depth. And I think there's a lot of coachability there because I think he's 25, 26. So, there's a lot of, positioning there. But that's
6 years old.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's something that I think that's more, I'd agree with you, Jeff. I think it's more about depth there.
Now, he suffers from Crohn's disease, and he's been suspended, I think, twice for smoking the pot, the Chiba.
The devil's
Nothing wrong with
lettuce.
that.
I think they should just legalize it. And it's better. They use it for a lot of athletes use it for pain therapy, and it's better than what they
Who's
do.
to say it won't put out huge numbers? Just ask Flash Gordon over there.
He never
did
played
all
a game.
his career number.
While
he was high.
I think
drunk.
pot's never going to be legalized in the NFL until it's legal in all 50 states. Because you got it fully legal in Colorado and maybe Iowa.
That's what I'm saying. They can smoke it in Denver. The Bronx can smoke.
But,
legally state-wise they can. Recreational they can go to town. But that's why they
don't test for it whether it's legal in 50 states or not, because I think that's better for the athlete to put into his body than some of these pain pills and stuff.
Yeah, you're getting
that's a whole nother.
That's medicated heroin. That's
it. That's
a whole nother argument we could get into.
Oh, absolutely. We can do it right now if you want.
right.
Well, I'm gonna roll me one for this.
So I was gonna say some of the listeners may be interested in some of this, but it's
Joe's interested in the Chiba right now.
it's seriously, come on. It's enough's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's not
suspending somebody for a year. I mean to cut you off, Jeff, but suspending somebody for a year for that, dude, come on.
Over
man.
some pot, but how long?
Granted, he got in trouble before.
Yeah.
There's a DEA car pulling up, so.
We'll be
All right.
back.
Let's keep this recording in case there's something going down. Let's move on to Zach Fulton. We got him from the Chiefs. Played 5 games, but he plays offensive guard and center, so there's some versatility there. Clayton, what do you think?
I know we're just beating the same drum with these guys, but I think we're getting these guys that are young, still coachable, and for all we know, Zach Fulton could be, hitting that time of his first time for him to start. He's worked his way up. Now he's a starter. He could be hitting the prime, and we could be getting a really good, and with Zach Martin, we don't know what he's going to healthy out,
He's another Tyrann Mathieu. If he's healthy, he's solid, but then,
Yeah.
Yeah, but another thing with us getting these young offensive linemen, it's breeding competition within the whole group.
Again,
Yeah.
especially that is one thing we
I
just
see
say.
Fulton being the starter, though.
I see him
I think
starting
so.
at guard somewhere. I see Allen going to the bench, which, hey, Jeff Allen on the bench, that's a good guy to have on the bench.
I say we re-sign Mance as well because he's young and he showed versatility guard and center.
Right? Matt, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Smith had a great year last year, and he was part of that line that blocked him and gave him the availability to hit Tyreek Hill and make all these passes he needed to make. And
Rookie running back.
Yeah, rookie running back.
Led
Travis
the league in
Kelce.
rushing.
I mean, look at what that's less blocking Travis Kelce has to do to pick up stuff. To where he's available to make those catches. There's a lot to be said in that. Really, hopefully that talent and those blocks that he produced are transferable here. But. Because at the end of the day, it ties into keeping Deshaun Watson, healthy. People talk about Aaron Rodgers and how he extends the play. He extends the play because he, can. Not because he's running for his life. There's a big difference there, because most of the time with Aaron Rodgers, it's a well thought out. He knows his strategy. But Deshaun Watson, like you said, Jeff, the comparison with RG3 is perfect. Where's RG3 now?
Exactly.
That's what that. You can't
shut
beat
your
up.
whore mouth.
You can't beat up on a quarterback like that. They can't take the shots. Granted, I think his was stepping on the field or something. But,
Yeah, the Texans' turf is notoriously bad.
yeah.
Well,
but-
we also saw
What?
Aaron Rodgers, his collarbone. He
Yep.
took a hit, but his line has not really ever been the great. Russell Wilson's always on the run. He hasn't really been injured, but it's a matter of time.
But they're starting to shore theirs up too. And look at Tom Brady when he got hurt. Has he gotten hurt since? No, because they shored all the inefficiencies up. You can chalk Tom Brady's. Now there's talent there. There's no taking away from that. But
Right.
you can chalk it up to his line being solidified for the last almost 20 years.
Because they will kill you before they let you touch Tom Brady. They'll take the penalty before
Yeah,
they let you
that's
touch
exactly
Tom
the
Brady.
same thing with
Well, you'll get flagged if you tackle Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's coming. But I didn't mean to go on a little tangent there.
You're fine.
But that ties into Fulton being a part of that to protect our investment. The city of Houston is so pumped to have Watson here. There's such a big, huge following behind him, and we want to get behind him, but we got to protect him.
I got a Watson
and I
jersey,
think-
battle red.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice. I think to tie into that, I think Fulton is the start of it.
I think it helps.
It does.
I think the one thing about quarterbacks, and I don't know if Deshaun Watson does it. I didn't see a lot of football games last year. I was doing research for our website and traveling to do some scouting. But does he look down the field? Is he like Aaron Rodgers looks down the Aaron Rodgers' best footwork. He stays in the pocket and just looking down the field. Russell Wilson looks down the field.
Put the tape on.
Coming out of this
What
draft.
you getting at, Jeff?
Huh?
What you getting at, Jeff?
I'm saying coming out of the draft, Baker Mayfield extends plays because he's always looking downfield. Deshaun Watson, does he look down the field to extend players? Is he looking just to, there's my one guy, and then he's running?
And that's the question there is with some of these other signings, Braxton Miller, being a make or break year, possibly Sammie Coates. Are those the weapons that he can start looking downfield?
Anybody's a weapon for Deshaun Watson, and yes, he looks down the
Yes.
field. Put the highlights on, Jeff. Put the tape on.
Exactly.
Put the tape on
Exactly.
YouTube.
You can
All right.
you can see him. He always looks. I think that's
Honestly,
why he made
reads the
that's why he
defenses.
made those
He's very
throws.
intelligent.
That is
He
true.
surprised me on I didn't think he was. I love Deshaun Watson, but I'll go on record. I didn't think he was gonna do what he did in that time.
We all
His
booed
best
when he
one's
got
going to be
drafted,
against
let's
Kansas
face it.
City.
We did.
His
We
best
all
one is
do.
going to be against Kansas City when he had the ball in his right hand. The dude came at him and he threw the ball to his left hand, and the guy hit his right hand, and he threw the ball back into his right hand and threw it all the way downfield
Nice.
to Will Fuller.
Playmaker.
Who dropped it?
Actually, surprisingly, he
scored a
didn't.
touchdown.
It was
Injured
weird.
ankle.
No, Will Fuller did get injured on one touchdown catch against the
As long as
Seahawks.
he catches.
Yeah, if he catches it, he scores a touchdown.
If he scored a touchdown, just lay there. We don't get
It's better than Brandon Cooks at the Super Bowl.
Right.
Did anybody let him know that he played?
Yeah. No, seriously, is he alive?
Right.
R.I.P.
All right, let's move to, I think, the Texans' best sign. Like when the fans are eager, when the fans are sitting there going, sign a legitimate guy. This guy.
They re-signed Xavier Philo. Is that who you're talking about?
No.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Lifetime contract.
Right, yeah, Pat's got
Lock
the
him
scoop
down.
on that. But,
Sorry, Clowney. You're gonna have to take a pay cut if you want to play.
Yeah.
Still feel though.
We got.
We got bigger needs.
Yeah, we still have those safeties.
They're still working on Cush's deal.
Yeah. But this guy's name flies under the radar, along with like a guy like Josh said. Again, Texans should have got Norwell.
Yeah.
One, you would kept him out of our division. Two, he's proven like he handles J.J. Watt by himself. You know, I've seen it. I was there. I've seen it. I was on the play. I was on the field.
That's
So,
I
I'm gonna
remember.
call JJ up. I'll get right back to you.
all right.
I'm gonna get in his Instagram.
But this guy is legitimate, and I'm gonna butcher his name. Senio Kelemete. He's a cannibal. You know, all the cannibals out there, like, yeah, he's one of us. You know, we got rid of Ciavilla, who was one of us. Now we got this guy. So Pat, what do you got on Kelemete or Kelemete?
I mean, right off the top, came from New Orleans, where they have, been passing leaders in the NFL for, the last decade easily. We have Drew Brees. I'm not saying he was a part of that, but they've built a system around it. Hopefully, once again, he brings some of that knowledge. I mean, it's something that we're shoring up some of these gaps that we need on the line, and Senio is, again, a possible candidate. I'm happy that I'm excited about it. I mean, because we got to protect our investment. He's 27, so
Definitely hitting the prime.
Yeah,
again,
that's it.
once again, we're the same thing that they were going for is young, versatile on the offensive line. I think they're pretty much going to say, fight it out for these positions. It's going to be open competition, and that's the only way to do it.
are they going too young, though? I mean, I got to ask that because I know we've talked about 26, 26, 27. You don't think so? Okay.
Because most college linemen now, the way they play college football, most of them aren't ready for a couple years. So I think you're getting them a little bit seasoned.
After they've been coached up a little bit.
And now,
okay.
Let's see if they can take that next step. Let's see where we're going.
I mean, he was protecting Drew Brees already. Now he's got to protect DW4. That's high assets that he's been protecting his whole career.
Like we just discussed probably a couple minutes ago, you have to protect Drew Brees. He's not a Deshaun Watson as far as the legs go. Feet don't fail me now. So you could probably get away with a little bit because Deshaun Watson can get out of there.
Yeah.
But let's also not forget that the Saints led the league in rushing, and this guy was a starter on that line. And I mean on that line, Clayton.
All 5 positions, right? I don't know if it's been stated yet, but let that be stated.
Yeah,
so we
another
need
thing.
tackles. We need a right tackle. We need a left tackle. I know we have Julian Davenport young. They got a lot of potential, but he comes from a small Bucknell school, and he probably won't be ready this year. And if he is, surprised. But left tackle is so important. And if he can do our left tackle, then you got Fulton and Martin and maybe Mance on your inside or Jeff Allen. And I just think they're trying, and that's all. I mean,
As Houston, can say, at least they're trying, to do something. Now, finally, we can see some clear signs they're trying to do something.
Yeah, I still wish they would have got a Norwell.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't really sold on Solder. Clayton, you had said that they offered him.
yeah. So I was listening, Sports Talk 790 here in Houston. Monday after the Norwell signing, and it came out that the Texans offered the same amount of money. It was still made Solder the highest paid left tackle, but he chose New York, and then apparently his wife's family's from that area. So I mean that all makes sense. I get that. Finish your career out with some family around. So I think we dodged a bullet money wise on that one, and I think it was for the best. Injury and age, I think
injury, age, and I don't think he's. I think he's a good offensive tackle. I don't think he's
average or a little
gonna
slightly
be-
above average, but
Yeah, I don't think he's worth the money they signed. I like Cam Fleming would have been good. There's a guy from Miami, name escapes me. I think he's young, would have been good. I think, anyone else have anything on Kelemete?
No, I mean, but I do want to tie it into the rushing.
Sure.
The question to me there really is that going to open it up? We'll get into Dante, Foreman if he's going to come back. We'll get into that later on, but we'll focus on Lamar Miller. I mean, Lamar Miller it was an okay season. It was 870, 880 yards. I mean, but it was more about the receptions. But will that open up the door to where we can see Lamar Miller have more potential and get more out of him? Does this
maybe, but first off, we need to stop trying to run Lamar Miller up the middle. That's not his game, never has been. Yes, the passing game. Let's say Foreman comes back, you put them both in the backfield, and sometimes you throw Miller out wide or run him to the outside, or you can do so much more with your offense and throw them off guard, especially with Deshaun and D-Hop.
Yeah, he's not that kind of back. Speaking of which, there's a current Hall of Famer, future, that's out there that we could sign on a 1-year deal that already lives out here.
I agree with you. I know what name you're going for. Go ahead and say it.
Adrian Peterson.
Why
he
not?
is that type of running back.
Well,
Honestly, with those 3 young bucks that we just said, Kelemete, Fulton, and Henderson, our line is already better than last year, and
That is
that's
true.
way
Yeah.
better.
And Adrian Peterson, while you're waiting to get waiting to get the response on Foreman going to come back, sign someone that can run up the middle and does have the size to do it.
Mentally, Peterson's already been through the situation where he tore his ACL and MCL, and he came back and almost broke the record in rushing. He's
Right.
got that mentality. Everybody's counting him out
Freak.
right now. Sign him on a cheap 1-year deal.
But that's
Let
the thing.
him prove it.
What is that cheap 1-year deal going to be for Adrian Peterson?
Well, they had $65 million to start. I don't think they've even got close to.
I think we're at like 52.
So you can
57.
give him a 9-year, give him a $9 million, sign 1 year, 10, 9, 10, $11 million.
And
Pass.
I think you.
Pass.
That's too high.
I think you can get him a lot cheaper just based off of his last couple years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'd say about
I'm
7 to 8
I'm
max.
capping at $5 million. You don't want to sign for 1 and 5 because you're already paying Lamar Miller. I think he gets $8.5 million.
But
They
you
were,
got
they were
the
looking at
money to
Deion
do
Lewis
it.
at like 6.5.
Just because you got the money doesn't mean do it. Okay, we got the money. You want to give your boy Xavier Su'a-Filo $13 million?
I said earlier, 10-year contract, lock him up.
All right,
Just said it,
lock him up.
190 million.
I'm coming for
We
you.
got-
I'm coming for your job, Brian Gaines.
And with AP, you may very well get away with a hometown or
That's
close
what I'm
enough to
saying.
hometown
I'm like,
discount.
You're on the wrong side of 30. You haven't been producing.
He wants to be here. This is, you run into that defense. It's that defense mechanism of your hometown to get there.
Or you sign him cheap and then you throw incentives in there that if
That's
he hit,
true.
that's the way to do it.
But I think
Yep.
players are shying away from those incentives because, like last year, Jamal Charles got screwed over by the Broncos. Like he was going to reach his incentives, and then all of a sudden, it's like, take a seat, buddy.
Well, yeah, I get that. I'm just saying, like in this case, because
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, he's not getting $8 million. What have you done to get $8 million a year? Like I said, meet me at 5. I'll bring you in.
Well,
He had one decent game last year.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
And he was a starting running back after David Johnson.
And
was
I'm
on
only giving him
Arizona.
$5 million based on name. We're not even talking about. You want to talk about
I would
production?
still offer him at least.
He was a multiple starter
I'd start
running
him.
back.
I'd
Both
give
on
him
the
at least
Saints at
7.
the
Yeah.
beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's just 1 year. Just give him 7, 8, and then just.
Yeah,
see
it's
what
not your
happens.
money.
Yeah, it's not my money.
Well, with New Orleans, New Orleans
I
was
give him 7 cents. That's my money.
New Orleans was a good sign for him when he went over there. But Kamara and Ingram just swamped. They were built better for the system. He
Yeah.
is not. And I'll say it again. He is not a receiving running back. He is not going to be that Lamar Miller. His hands. He's just not built for that.
Exactly. So does that would make when Adrian Peterson in the game, does that make your offense more predictable?
Possibly leads. I think it opens up the play action.
Yeah, I
You know,
definitely
I
would.
mean-
And Deshaun kills it in play action. I'm just saying, $7 million.
Get Coates down the seam.
Yeah, because and that's exactly it. Because when you have Lamar Miller and running up the middle, the play action isn't a viable option because
Yeah.
it's like, all right, my line's going to stop him. They're going to stuff him.
Yeah.
And going back to the David Carr days, you got to have a line to believe it because they used to only rush against Carr 3 or 4.
And they would kill him every
I
time.
think running up the Miller, I think I saw Lamar Miller hit our own guards or tackles more than he hit those gaps.
Yeah, well, first off, because by the time he got the ball, they were already pushed back into its face.
But
He's like, shit, what do I do?
But Ryan, it all ties back into it. Us signing this line, it does open up more options to where we can get. I think it's a great option. He is out there. He's he can run up the middle, and I think him being the way he is, having that mentality coming into it, it opens up that door to where you don't know what is going to happen with Foreman. That gives Foreman at least another even if you sign him for a season and you bench him when possibly Foreman gets healthy halfway through the season, or you have a similar back like Foreman that can learn from Adrian Peterson and maybe some player coaching going on to help us, because I'm sure Adrian Peterson would be more than happy to share that knowledge for again, hometown.
So I'm saying I'd meet him at 5. I'd try to get him for 5, maybe go up a little bit if you want him, but I think you could get him for about $5 million.
I honestly think this summer you'll see him sign for about $6.5 million for 1 year, because I think that's my guesstimate.
AP, great, blah, blah, blah. All these guys, blah, blah, blah. I think we should have done the full podcast. The Texans re-signed our best player, our most versatile, our most consistent, Shane Lindblom.
The man, goat.
The
Don't
goat.
let
Let's
that
go.
dude.
That's backup quarterback.
Exactly.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna try. I want to get Shane on a podcast. I would love to sit down with that guy. Dude,
It'd probably be at a barbecue joint.
he's been the
Fine with us.
He's been the backbone of the team.
Yeah,
You know.
he's been cool.
Exactly. Well, let's wrap up this podcast. Want to thank everyone for listening. Let's go around the table. Got anything to say? Anything to add? Get off your chest. Pat, let's start with you.
I don't have anything off my chest today. I just check us out at DynastyWise.com, and our store will be open soon, and we're excited to be a part of this. Hopefully, we start to get some traction with this, guys. And if you have anything, like Jeff said earlier, leave a comment. Email us at fantasyfootball@DynastyWise.com, or check out our site. You can see us there, and hopefully there's some articles there you'd like to good reads.
Joe?
Alrighty. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at DynastyWise_Joe.
Yeah, Twitter, you can Dynasty at DynastyWiseClay and at DynastyWise_FF. I think that's our fantasy.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys have done, and we have a big presence on Twitter thanks to you two guys. We have a Facebook page now. You can find us, Dynasty Wise Fantasy Football, there. Again, please check us out. We'd love to hear positive or negative comments. We just started this business. We're very excited, so come on and check out DynastyWise.com. Like I say, leave comments. We're bettering our site. We love our site now, but we always love input. And thanks again for listening to the DynastyWise.com.
.com.
Thank you.
DynastyWise with that nasty wise info.
Let's go Texans. Woo! We got in
All
it.
right.
We got in it real good.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Real good.